The trading station was old. It floated in the dark space between three empires, a place where laws meant nothing and power meant everything. Ships came and went at all hours. Merchants sold weapons. Criminals made deals. Hunters displayed their kills. 100 different species walked its metal halls, and most of them had claws or fangs or poison. Stood near the docking bay, watching the human ship approach. He was a species of hunters. His people had 4 eyes and skin covered in small scales. They had hunted the great beasts of their home world for thousands of years. They knew predators. They respected predators, and they feared nothing. But today, something felt wrong. The human ship was small. It had no weapons visible on its hull. It moved slowly, carefully, like it had nothing to prove. When it landed in the docking bay, the sound of its engines died away into silence. Waited. Around him, other species gathered to watch. A group of mercenaries stood near the back, their bone blades folded against their arms. 2 crime soldiers leaned against the wall, their poison sacks full and ready. Even Lady had come, her long body coiled in the shadows, her many eyes watching the ship's door. Everyone expected soldiers. Humans were known across the galaxy as survivors. They came from a death world, a planet that tried to kill them in 1,000 ways. They had wars that burned entire continents. They built weapons that could crack moons. When humans traveled to dangerous places, they usually brought armor and guns and hard faces. The ship's door opened. A woman walked out. She was alone. 4 eyes focused on her, and his brain tried to understand what he was seeing. The woman was not tall. She was not large. She wore simple dark clothes, nothing that looked like armor. Her black hair was pulled back from her face. Her hands were empty. She carried no weapon, no shield, no device of any kind. She just walked down the ramp like she was taking a morning stroll. "Is this a joke?" one of the soldiers asked. They send one female with no protection. Did not answer. He was watching the woman's face. She was not scared. That was the first thing he noticed. Every prey animal he had ever hunted showed fear in some way. Fast breathing, wide eyes, tense muscles ready to run. This woman showed none of that. But she was not showing aggression either. Young predators often tried to look dangerous when they entered new territory. They would bare their teeth, make loud sounds, try to seem bigger than they were. This woman did none of those things. She simply walked. Her footsteps made almost no sound on the metal floor. Her breathing was slow and even. Her eyes moved across the crowd once, taking in everything, and then she looked forward again. She did not stare at anyone. She did not avoid anyone's gaze. She just moved through the space like she belonged there. Like she had always belonged there. The crowd began to part for her, watched it happen, and felt something cold move through his body. Nobody had told the crowd to move. Nobody had pushed anyone aside. The species gathered in that docking bay were killers and hunters and monsters. They did not move for anyone. But they moved for her. It happened slowly, almost naturally. One person would step to the side, then another, then another. A path opened up through the crowd, and the woman walked through it without slowing down. Assistant, a young named, moved closer to his master. "She carries nothing," said. His voice was confused. "No weapons, no guards, nothing." "She carries everything," said. The words came out of his mouth before he could think about them. "I do not understand." Watched the woman disappear into the station's main corridor. His hearts were beating faster than they should. His scales felt tight against his skin. Deep inside his brain, in the old parts that his species had carried since they were small animals hiding from larger beasts, something was screaming. That something said, "Danger." But it made no sense. She was small, she was soft, she was alone. Everything about her body said she was weak. If wanted to, he could cross the distance between them in 3 steps. He could end her life in less than a second. His claws were sharp. His muscles were strong. He was a predator from a world of predators. And yet, And yet something in him did not want to touch her. Something in him wanted to step back, to find a shadow, to wait until she was gone. Find out who she is, told his assistant. Find out everything. Hurried away to gather information. Stayed in the docking bay for a long time, staring at the empty ramp where the woman had walked. He had hunted 1,000 creatures across 100 worlds. He had killed beasts that could swallow him whole. He had never felt afraid. But today, watching a small human woman walk through a crowd of monsters without armor or weapons or sound, he felt something he had not felt since he was a child. He felt like prey. The woman's name, he would learn later, she was a diplomat from the Human Federation. She had come to station to negotiate new trade agreements. She had come alone, and every predator on the station had felt her arrival in their bones. Walked through the station's main corridor without hurry. The lights above her head flickered. The air smelled like metal and old smoke. She passed shops selling weapons, stalls offering illegal goods, dark corners where creatures watched from the shadows. She noticed everything. She forgot nothing. This was the human way. Her ancestors had survived on a planet that wanted them dead. They had no claws, they had no fangs, they had no armor on their skin. What they had was something else. They could watch. They could remember. They could see patterns that other creatures missed. It was following her. Knew this without looking back. She could hear his breathing, heavy and slow. She could feel the vibration of his steps through the metal floor. There were large creatures, 8 feet tall with 4 arms. 2 of those arms ended in hands. 2 ended in blades made of bone. They were ambush predators. They liked to wait in dark places and strike when their prey was not ready. This one was not waiting. He was walking faster, trying to catch up with her. Turned a corner and stopped in the middle of a small open area. A few other creatures were there, selling food and supplies. They looked up when they arrived. Then they looked away and began to pack their things. Within a minute, the area was empty except for the creature behind her. His name was. She had learned this from the station's information networks during her walk. He was a mercenary. He had killed 43 people that anyone knew about. The real number was probably higher. He was working for the Dominion now, helping them claim control of the station. Stopped 10 feet away from her. He was huge. His skin was covered in old scars. His bone blades were as long as her legs. When he breathed, she could see the muscles moving under his skin. "Human," he said. His voice was deep and rough, like stones grinding together. "Your people send words when they should send soldiers. This station belongs to the Dominion now. Tell your Federation to stay away." Did not step back. She did not look scared. She turned around slowly and looked up at him. "You have killed 43 people," she said. Her voice was calm and quiet. "You like to use ambush tactics. You wait in dark places. You prefer to attack when your target cannot see you coming." His blades twitched slightly. "You favor your right blade," continued. "You lead with it when you attack. This is because of the wound in your left shoulder. It healed wrong. I almost killed you 6 years ago. You killed him, but he hurt you badly first." The massive predator's breathing changed. It became faster. His body shifted from an attack position into something more defensive. "How do you know this?" asked. His voice was quieter now. "You have not slept well in many months," said. She took a small step forward, did not move. "Bad dreams. You see the same thing over and over. The settlement on R Minor. The syndicate paid you to destroy it. You thought it would be easy, just farmers, just families." His blades folded back against his arms. This was a defensive posture, a scared posture. "You did not know about the younglings' nests," said. "Nobody told you there would be children, but you burned them anyway. You had a job to do. You told yourself it was war. You told yourself you had no choice." "Stop," said. The word came out like a whisper. "But you know the truth." Took another step forward. She was close to him now, close enough that he could kill her with one movement of his blade. He did not move. You know what you did, and every night when you close your eyes you see their faces, you hear their screams, you smell the smoke. Hal's massive body was shaking now. How can you know these things? Looked up into his 4 eyes. She showed no fear. She showed no anger. She showed something worse. She showed understanding. Humans are persistence predators, she said. Do you know what that means? It means we do not chase fast. We do not strike hard. We follow. We watch. We wait. We learn everything about our prey, how they move, how they think, how they feel. She reached up slowly and placed her hand against his chest, right over his heart. We hunt minds, she said. We hunt souls. We see what you are. We see what you have done. We see the guilt you carry inside you like a stone, and we never forget. Stumbled backward, he was a killer. He was a monster. He had ended lives without feeling anything. But this small woman had reached inside him and found the thing he had buried deepest. She had pulled it out into the light, and he had no defense against it. The transport to R Minor leaves in 3 hours, said. The families of the children you killed still live there. They deserve to know what happened. They deserve to hear it from you. She walked past him. She did not look back. Stood alone in the empty area for a long time. Then, slowly, he began to walk toward the docking bay. He took the transport to R Minor that night. He never came back to station. Deep below the station's main levels, in rooms that did not appear on any map, the crime lords gathered. These were the true rulers of station. They controlled the smuggling routes. They owned the black markets. They decided who lived and who died in this part of space. Of the cartel sat at the head of the table. He was a large creature with thick blue skin and small black eyes. His species produced poison in special sacs on their necks. One bite from a could kill in seconds. Had killed many creatures this way. He enjoyed watching them die slowly. Next to him sat Lady. Her body was long and thin, like a snake made of metal and muscle. She had 16 eyes arranged around her head, and each one could see in a different direction. A single spine on her back contained enough poison to kill 100 creatures. She never needed to use it. Her reputation was enough. At the far end of the table sat something old. It had no name that anyone remembered. The other crime lords simply called it the Hollow. Its body was a mass of dark flesh that seemed to shift and move like smoke. Nobody knew what species it came from. That species was probably extinct now. The Hollow communicated through deep sounds that machines had to translate into words. One human said, his voice was angry. We control this station. We have 100 soldiers. We have weapons that can destroy ships, and everyone is scared of one human woman. Not scared, Lady said. Her voice was soft and dangerous. Careful, there is a difference. She has no weapons. She has no armor. She is small and soft and alone, slammed his fist on the table. We should kill her tonight. Send a message to the humans. Show them that station does not bow to their federation. Then do it, Lady said. Send your assassins. Was quiet for a moment. His small eyes moved away from her face. I already sent 3, he admitted. They refused the contract. Refused? Lady's many eyes showed surprise. Your assassins refused to kill one unarmed woman. They watched her for 1 hour. Then they came back and returned my money. They said they would not take the job. They did not explain why. The deep sound of the Hollow filled the room. The translation machines turned it into words that everyone could understand. They recognized her. Recognized her, asked. What does that mean? She is nobody, a diplomat, a talker. Not her face, her nature. The Hollow's voice was slow and heavy. Every predator carries old memories, deep memories, from when our ancestors were small and weak, from when there were things in the dark that hunted us. Those memories never die. They live in our blood. They tell us when we are in danger. Lady leaned forward. You are saying that this woman triggers those memories? Yes, she is a persistence predator. Do you know this term? Shook his head. Lady's eyes showed interest. She had lived a long time and heard many stories. Humans do not hunt like other predators, the Hollow explained. They do not chase fast. They do not hide in ambush. They follow, for hours, for days, for weeks. They never stop. They never get tired. Their prey runs until its heart gives out from fear and exhaustion. Then the humans walk up slowly and finish what they started. That is their bodies, said. Bodies can be killed. Their minds are worse. The Hollow's dark form shifted. They remember everything, every face, every name, every wrong done to them. They remember for years, for generations. They pass their memories to their children. They write them in books. They carve them in stone. A human can hate you for something your grandfather did before you were born. The room was quiet. The enforcer, Lady said slowly, I heard he left the station. He took a transport to R Minor, confirmed. Abandoned his post. The Dominion is furious. She spoke to him for 5 minutes. Lady's voice was thoughtful. 5 minutes, and he abandoned everything. She did not threaten his body, the Hollow said. She threatened his soul. She showed him his own guilt. She made him see himself clearly. For creatures like that is worse than any blade. Stood up from his chair. He began to pace around the room. His poison sacs were full and ready. He wanted to bite something. He wanted to feel a life end under his teeth. But there was nothing to bite here, nothing to kill, just shadows and fear. What do we do? He asked finally. We cannot let one human control this station. You cannot kill her, the Hollow said. If you kill her, more will come. Not soldiers, not ships, just more humans. They will learn your names. They will learn your faces. They will learn your families, your businesses, your homes. And they will wait. Wait for what? For the right moment. It might be tomorrow. It might be 10 years from now. It might be after you are dead and your children have children. But one day, when you least expect it, they will be there. And they will remember everything. Stopped packing. For the first time in many years, he felt something cold in his stomach. What are they? He whispered. The Hollow's dark form seemed to grow larger in the dim light. They are the thing that hunted everything, it said. Before claws, before fangs, before poison, there was something that followed and watched and remembered, something that never stopped, never gave up, never forgot. And now that something walks among us. The observation deck was quiet. Large windows showed the stars outside, thousands of tiny lights scattered across the black. Sat alone on a metal bench, her hands resting in her lap, her eyes watching the darkness. She heard footsteps behind her. They were human footsteps, careful, young, a little nervous. Ma'am. She did not turn around. Sit down. The young man walked around the bench and sat next to her. His name was. He was 24 years old. He worked as a junior for the Human Federation. This was his first assignment outside human space. He was trying very hard not to look scared. The security team sent me, he said. They are worried about you. You have refused all protection. You walk through the station alone. You meet with dangerous criminals without guards. They think you are taking too many risks. What do you think? Asked. Was quiet for a moment. He looked out at the stars. Then he looked at her. I think you know something they do not know, he said. Smiled slightly. It was a small smile there and gone quickly. What do you know about she asked. Thought about this. He had studied many species before coming to the station. They are predators, he said. Hunters. They come from a world with many large and dangerous animals. They hunted those animals for thousands of years. It made them strong, fast, good at killing. What do they think about humans? They think we are soft, weak, easy prey, paused, but they also fear us. Everyone on the station fears us. I do not understand why. Was quiet for a long time. She watched a ship move slowly across the window, its lights blinking in the dark. 12 years ago, she said finally, a hunting party found a human colony ship. The ship was called the Morning Star. It was carrying 300 civilians, families, Children, scientists, farmers, people starting new lives on a new world. Felt his stomach grow cold. He knew this story. Everyone knew this story. They took the ship, continued. They did not want money. They did not want prisoners. They wanted sport. They released the humans on a small moon with no cities and no help. Then they hunted them, one by one, for 3 weeks. They broadcast it, said quietly. They sold the recordings across the galaxy. Yes, many species paid to watch. It was entertainment for them. 300 humans running and hiding and dying one by one while hunters tracked them through forests and caves and rivers. His voice did not change. It stayed calm and quiet. At the end, only 7 humans were still alive. The hunters killed 6 of them. They let one go. A young woman named Bora. They wanted her to tell others what had happened. They wanted humans to know fear. But that is not what happened, said. No, turned to look at him. Her eyes were dark and steady. We did not learn fear. We learned patience. The Federation found them, said. The hunters, all of them. Not just the hunters. We found everyone. Every who held a weapon that day. Every pilot who flew the ships. Every merchant who sold them supplies. Every creature across the galaxy who paid money to watch the broadcast. Every single one. How long did it take? 17 years, turned back to the stars. Some of them changed their names. Some of them moved to different sectors. One hunter surgically changed his body to look like a different species. It did not matter. We found them all. Sat in silence. He had never heard the full story. The official records only said that justice had been served. What happened to them? He asked. Different things. Some died. Some went to prison. Some lost everything they owned. Some simply disappeared and were never seen again. His voice was still calm. But the punishment was not the point. Then what was the point? The point was to show everyone watching that humans do not forget. We do not stop. We do not give up. You can run from us. You can hide from us. You can change your name and your face and your entire body. It does not matter. We will find you, maybe not today, maybe not this year, maybe not this decade, but we will find you. She stood up from the bench. The starlight fell across her face, making her look older, colder. That is why I do not need protection, she said. Everyone on this station knows who I am. They know what I represent. If they hurt me, humans will remember. Not for years, forever. We will remember their names, their families, their species, their dreams. And we will be there at every turn for every generation until there is nothing left. Looked up at her. Is that not cruel? Considered the question. Perhaps, but we did not choose to be this way. Our world made us. Millions of years of surviving ice ages and predators and disasters and each other. We learned to watch. We learned to wait. We learned to remember. She began to walk toward the door. Other species became fast or strong or poisonous. We became patient. And patience is the most dangerous weapon of all. She stopped at the door and looked back at him. Get some rest. Tomorrow we negotiate with the crime lords. They will threaten us. They will try to scare us. They will offer deals and make demands. What will we do? Smiled that small, cold smile again. We will remember everything they say, and we will wait. She walked out into the corridor, stayed on the bench for a long time, watching the stars and thinking about patience. Somewhere out there, human ships were moving through the dark, watching, remembering, waiting. They had all the time in the universe. Morning came to station. The lights in the corridors grew brighter. The shops and stalls opened their doors. Creatures of 100 species began moving through the halls, buying and selling and scheming as they always did. Ate a small breakfast in her quarters. She drank a cup of hot tea. She looked at herself in a mirror and fixed her hair. Then she put on her simple dark clothes and walked out of her room. The negotiating chamber was on the far side of the station. To reach it, she would have to walk through the market district, the weapons quarter, and the territory controlled by 3 different crime families. The path would take her past hundreds of dangerous creatures. She had no armor, she had no weapons, she had no guards. She started walking. The first creatures she passed were traders. They stood at their stalls, their poison sacks visible on their thick necks, their small eyes watching everything. When approached, they stopped talking. They stepped back from the path. They let her pass without a word. Next came a group of young. They were not as large as had been, but their bone blades were sharp and their eyes were hungry. They saw coming. One of them began to move forward, his blades unfolding. Another grabbed his arm. "Do not," the older one said. "She is small, she is alone, she is. She is human, let her pass." The young looked confused, but he stepped aside, walked between them without slowing down. She did not look at them. She did not thank them. She simply continued on her way. The market district was full of species from across the galaxy, tall ones and short ones, furry ones and scaled ones, creatures with too many eyes and creatures with no eyes at all. They were buying food and supplies and information. They were making deals in dark corners. They were living their complicated lives. And they all moved out of sway. It happened without anyone saying anything. The crowd simply opened before her like water around a stone. Some creatures looked at her and quickly looked away. Others watched her pass with something strange in their eyes. Fear, maybe, or respect, or something older than both. In the weapons quarter, she walked past assassins sharpening their blades, past bounty hunters showing off their kills, past soldiers for hire waiting for their next job. These were the most dangerous creatures on the station. They killed for money. They killed for fun. They had no mercy and no fear. They stepped aside for like everyone else. Oldthe was watching from a doorway. His 4 eyes followed the small human woman as she walked through a corridor full of killers. Nobody touched her. Nobody threatened her. Nobody even spoke to her. "What is happening?" his assistant whispered. "Why does everyone move for her?" Did not answer right away. He was thinking about the old stories, the ones his grandmother had told him when he was young. Stories about the time before his people were hunters. Stories about the time when his people were prey. In those stories there was always something following, something that did not roar or charge or attack, something that just walked behind you hour after hour, day after day. It never got tired. It never gave up. It just kept coming, patient and steady, until you collapsed from exhaustion and fear. His grandmother called it the walking death. "They recognize her," said finally. "Recognize her? I do not understand." Not her face, not her name, something deeper. Watch turn a corner and disappear from sight. Every predator has old memories, memories from before we had words, memories from when we were small and weak and scared. Those memories tell us things. They warn us about danger. And she triggers those memories. Yes, every creature on this station, no matter how strong, no matter how deadly, has ancestors who were prey. And somewhere in their blood, they remember what it felt like to be hunted by something they could not escape. Was quiet for a moment. What could hunt all of us? Scales shifted in a way that meant sadness, or maybe fear. It was hard to tell. "Humans," he said simply. The negotiating chamber was a large room with a high ceiling and a single long table. The crime lords were already there when arrived. Of the cartel sat at one end, his poison sacks full and dark. Lady coiled in her special chair, her many eyes watching everything. The hollow sat in shadows, its dark form shifting and moving. Other powerful creatures filled the remaining seats: warlords, smugglers, information brokers, the rulers of the dark parts of the galaxy. Walked in alone, she crossed the long room slowly. Her footsteps made almost no sound. She pulled out a chair at the empty end of the table and sat down. Nobody spoke. Opened his mouth to say something threatening. He had planned a speech. He was going to tell this human that she had no power here, that the Federation meant nothing in this part of space, that she should accept whatever terms they offered and be grateful they let her leave alive. The words died in his throat. He looked into his calm, dark eyes and he saw something there. Something patient, something ancient, something that was not impressed by his poison or his soldiers or his threats. Something that would remember his name forever. "Now," said pleasantly, her voice was soft and quiet, "shall we discuss the new terms?" No one argued. The negotiations lasted 4 hours. At the end, the Human Federation had everything it wanted: new trade routes, new agreements, new rules that would protect human travelers in this sector. The crime lords gave up more than they had planned, much more, but somehow by the end they were almost grateful. At least she was leaving, at least it was over. Stood up from the table. She nodded politely to the assembled powers. Then she walked out of the chamber the same way she had entered. Alone, unarmed, unafraid. In the doorway, Old was waiting. He fell into step beside her as she walked toward the docking bay. "I have a question," he said. "Ask." "What are you, really?" Kept walking. She did not slow down or speed up. She simply moved through the station like she owned it, because, in a way, she did now. "We are what the universe made us," she said. "Soft bodies, weak claws, dull teeth, but we survived anyway. We watched and learned and remembered. We became the thing that hunted everything else." "But how?" asked. "How did soft creatures become the most frightening thing in the galaxy?" Stopped at the entrance to the docking bay. Her ship was waiting. Her mission was complete. She would leave this station and probably never return. She turned to look at the old hunter. "We never stopped," she said simply. "We never gave up, we never forgot, that is all, that is everything." She walked up the ramp and disappeared into her ship. The door closed behind her. A few minutes later, the ship lifted off and flew away into the black. Stood in the docking bay for a long time, watching the stars. He had hunted 1,000 creatures across 100 worlds. He had killed things that would give most species nightmares. He had never been afraid of anything. But now, watching that small ship disappear into the darkness, he understood something. His people had spent thousands of years learning to be the best predators in the galaxy. Claws and fangs and speed and strength. They had conquered their world and reached for the stars. And all that time, humans had been watching them. Learning. Waiting. Remembering. Turned and walked back into the station. He had a lot of thinking to do. Somewhere out in the darkness, a small human woman was flying home. She had no armor. She had no weapons. She had nothing but patience and memory. It was enough. It was always enough.